Hello, this is Barry. You're watching Barry and the PI. It's afternoon and it's cloudy. Yesterday we got a real good rain, rained on into the night. So that was good for my plants, my yard. Today I'm going to discuss, the little title is Bars, Brothels, and Beaches. So it's quite well known that thousands of men uh, come to the Philippines, mostly to go to the bars and brothels of Angeles City and Manila and Cebu and Subic Bay and Barrio Barrera. But that shouldn't be the sole reason you come to the Philippines. Philippines has got some beautiful places. Uh, it's got over 7,000 islands. If you can't find a beach you like, you might as well stay at home. I've traveled around. The first time I came over here back in 1998, I traveled around to Davao. Wanted to climb up Mount Apo, which is the highest point in the Philippines, and it's a volcano. And still active. Uh, so I hired a young guy to guide me up, and he said, "Can I bring my sisters?" I said, "Of course. The more, the merrier." And we didn't climb all the way to the crater, but up high enough that these beautiful views up there, out into the Pacific Ocean and other islands around. And so I had a great trip, great hike. Uh, then Maida and I have traveled around before we got married, while waiting for our marriage certificate to get processed. We went to Iloilo, where our daughter was going to college there, and visited with her. Uh, we had thought about going on up to Boracay, but we didn't. Oh, we went, took ferry over to Leyte and hired a driver to drive us up to Catarman in Samar. That's where Maida was from. That's where she grew up. She went to high school in Manila, lived with a brother there. But we just drove up just to see Samar, and then we went over to Legazpi, where that's where Mount Mayon, the Mayon volcano is. Spectacular views of that volcano. We went to where there was an old church in the 1500s. During an eruption, all the people fled to the church for protection against the volcano. Well, that didn't work. The volcano buried most of the church. Just now you see the watchtower that's above ground. The rest of the church is buried along with the people. So Legazpi is a pretty nice little place. We drove up. At that time, we could still drive up to this resort on the side of the volcano, and it was in ruins. Hadn't been used in quite a few years. And I wasn't going to try to climb it. I've heard it's pretty difficult climb because of all the loose volcanic ash and rocks and lava and stuff. Oh, and then we went on back up to Manila, and so I've seen some areas. I came here one time when she was still in Hong Kong, and let's see, I went to Dumaguete. I'd heard that there's waterfalls up there, Jojo Falls, and I uh, went to this adventure agency, travel agency, and they have a guide that took me over to Jojo Falls on his motorcycle. And it's near, you get through Valencia, which is a really nice town. I really liked it. If it had health, we might have moved there instead of here. That, no hospital, big hospitals right there. You had to go to Dumaguete, and no VA clinic. So I went up to Jojo, the guy's name. We drove to the side of the mountain to where there was a paved road, but the road going on up was just a dirt road. And so we had to walk up. And it was quite a walk. Kids would come running out, oh, look, there's the Americano. And then we got up there, and I found some interesting ants and other bugs. And we walked down to I had a stairway, a metal stairway, and that you could go down, carry you down, and then you would follow along the creek bed to the falls. And they were beautiful falls too. And I got in and got myself wet, sat in it for a while, and Jojo's wife had prepared sandwiches for us. We had lunch up there, and it was really, really beautiful place. And I was fascinated by the insects. They had millipedes that long and about that big around. So I saw a lot of interesting animals and birds and stuff. And we started walking down, and I saw a snake across the road. Well, I immediately ran towards the snake to see what kind it was. And Jojo freaked out, but it made it into the grass, and I wasn't going to go in the grass looking for the snake. And then it started raining. It started pouring down. Fortunately, I had an umbrella in my backpack, so I pulled it up. He didn't have one, so we tried to share it. And we got over into the jungle and tried to sit under a tree, a coconut tree. And it didn't really protect us that well, though. And he was going to take me to an old Japanese emplacement where the Japanese would hide out in and had their guns and stuff. But I said, nah, I'm tired, let's go. So we finally made it on down and went on back into Dumaguete. That was a really nice trip. And let's see, and then Maida and I, in 2014, we came here well, she was in the U.S. then. We were both living in the U.S. and we decided we wanted to see her family and our daughters. And so we flew into Manila and were joined by about 13 members of her family. And they were going with us on this trip. What I wanted to do is go to Camas Del Sur. That's where they filmed a couple of the Survivor TV series there. And I wanted to see that, and I read a little bit about the area. And so we all went, and we get everybody in 2 rooms. And and the people there at the hotel, ran the hotel, were really nice. Their son talked to me about they had some land up there that he wouldn't mind opening it into a park. And I told him I can help him with that. I know how to do interpretive trips and programs. And I really liked the little place. I wouldn't mind living there, but again, it's a little out of the way. It was an overnight trip from Manila to Naga, and then get into a van, and then they take you over to where a boat docked, and we got another boat to take us about an hour and a half trip over to the island. And so I'd say it was kind of a rough trip, but I did all right. And we went island hopping and stuff around there. And water was beautiful, beautiful. And so that was another place I wouldn't have minded living if I was in better health and younger guy. So there are everywhere, just about every barangay and every provincial town has some kind of a festival, and there'll be parades and marching bands and all kinds of stuff. In Mindoro, there's a big mask festival. In Iloilo, that's one of the biggest of the festivals. Quite colorful, and so there's just a lot of things to do here. Right down the road here is Lake Taal and volcano. That's one of the prettiest places in the Philippines. It's a beautiful lake. I've showed y'all. I've done a couple of videos up there, so you can look back at those. And there's just so much stuff to do. And people are always friendly and helpful. They'll go out of their way to help you if you can. It's always the thing about the Philippines is the people. You can't beat them. So don't just come here to go hitting the bars and picking you up a girl or something. Come here to see the sights. There's a lot of interesting places here, a lot of beautiful places, and private or just out of the way beaches. You can get away and not see any people for a while. Saragal's a great place to go for beaches and scuba diving and stuff. We've got that here. Batangas is a really nice resort. You can go over to Mindoro and go to Puerto Galera and go scuba diving or explore into the back country. So there's plenty of stuff to do. Philippines is an amazing place. So that's about it. That's what I was going to tell you about, but I want to show you something I just saw yesterday. I did a video earlier of a walk down the hill, and we got down there where the bridge crosses over the springs. I saw some plants, apollo, pepper, and there were two or three lobster claw plants. And I had my yard guy dig them up and bring them up here, and I got them planted. And look what's happening. There comes the balloons. Those are going to be really interesting to watch. What in the world? They sure attracted a lot of ants. Don't y'all mess with my lobster claw plant. I'll go somewhere else. So that's about it. Oh, look at this. Oh, I know you're dangerous. Let's try to find that. Did you see that? I hope I got it. Ah! Never know what you're gonna find. That's why I like living here. And this, my yard, I love it too. So that's about it. I hope all of you are having a good day. I'm hoping it's going to rain again. It probably will. This is the beginning of the rainy season, so it's also the beginning of the fly season too. Flies all over. So y'all take care, stay safe, get vaccinated, and we'll see you again soon. Over and out from Barry.